Luke has spent months as the favorite punching bag for his school's football team, quietly enduring daily torment without saying a word. But what these bullies don't realize is he's got a big brother who keeps tabs on him. That man is David, a recently retired special forces operator who handles conflict with lethal military precision. When David notices the bruises on Luke's face, he calmly asks who did it.
I want you to show me who hit you yesterday.
Luke refuses at first, worried about what David might do, but David promises he won't do anything bad, and eventually gets him to point out Mike and Ian, two of the guys responsible. David follows the bullies to a local bar packed with members of the school football team and walks in with Luke beside him. The jocks immediately start snickering, assuming Luke is his boyfriend, while the waiter comes over demanding ID. David simply asks whether he bothered checking the football players too. The waiter avoids answering and asks for their order instead, so David decides to have some fun. He orders Luke an insanely spicy fireball cocktail loaded with hot sauce and Coke, buys expensive drinks for the girls, then sends the guys cheap cosmopolitans.
Mister, I don't know what you're going for, but I was thinking of beer.
Nope. Blowjob shots for the ladies and a cosmopolitan for each of the guys. You can keep the change, young man.
One of the jocks realizes he's being mocked, marches over, and throws his drink straight into David's face. David barely reacts. He wipes himself off, throws his own spicy hot Dr. Pepper into the guy's face, and the entire table erupts. The jocks rush him together only to discover they've picked the wrong man. David jabs them around like punching bags, and when another bully goes after Luke, David grabs a golf club and whacks the heck out of him. Once the room is under control, he pulls Luke up, tells everyone to pack their things, and instructs the waiter to call the cops. As far as David is concerned, these miscreants started the trouble, and nobody seems to remember who the other party was anyway. He drops enough cash to cover the damage and casually drives Luke home. But those bullies are about to become the least dangerous people David deals with, because this fight is only the first glimpse of what he's capable of. And before long, the same man protecting Luke is going to become the biggest threat to everyone around him. The moment they walk inside, Luke's mother, Laura, notices his painted face and asks what happened. Luke brushes it off as some bullying at school, while David assures her nobody saw what happened afterward and promises to teach Luke some self-defense. Luke's sister Anna isn't nearly as impressed. She scoffs at David before announcing that she's getting ready for a party, and her attitude makes more sense once the truth about him is revealed. David isn't actually Luke and Anna's biological brother. He was the closest friend of their real brother Caleb, who was killed in combat only 2 weeks earlier. The Peterson family had been devastated by Caleb's death, especially Laura. Not long after losing him, she was home alone when a stranger appeared at her door and introduced himself as David, a former U.S. Army soldier who had trained and fought alongside Caleb. The two had become extremely close, and David had come straight to the family after leaving Fort Kenilworth, where he says he spent months recovering in a military hospital after suffering a serious injury. Laura is already shaken, but David's reason for coming hits even harder. He was with Caleb during his final moments, and before dying, Caleb made him promise to visit his family and tell them that he loved every one of them and had been thinking about them until the very end. Laura retreats to her bedroom and breaks down before eventually returning to find David staring at a photograph of Caleb and his fellow soldiers, with David among them. Feeling that he has intruded on their grief, David apologizes for showing up unannounced and prepares to leave, but Laura stops him. Anna would probably want to meet one of her brother's closest friends, so she asks him to stay a little longer. Anna arrives soon after and is surprised to hear her mother laughing for the first time in a while. Laura introduces her to David, who tells Anna that Caleb spoke about her often. When she asks where he plans to stay, David mentions a hotel he saw on the way over, but Laura refuses to let him leave when they have plenty of space. David agrees to stay for the night while Anna heads off to her job at the diner. Laura settles him into Caleb's old room, reassuring him that she's comfortable with him sleeping there. But the instant she leaves, David's warm smile disappears, replaced by a cold, unreadable stare. And that cold look is the first sign that David may not be the loyal soldier he claims to be. Meanwhile, Luke's problems at school continue. The jocks keep taking turns humiliating him, and when Laura picks him up, he hides beneath his hoodie and pretends everything is fine. At home, David tries to pass along Caleb's final message, telling Luke that his brother wanted him to know how much he loved him. Their conversation is interrupted when Laura's husband, Spencer, makes it clear he isn't nearly as comfortable with David staying under their roof. To him, they've invited a complete stranger into their home, and David's calm demeanor could easily be hiding the kind of psychological problems soldiers sometimes bring back from combat. Spencer still invites David to have a beer before dinner, but David declines. Anna, meanwhile, is with her boyfriend Zeke, telling him about the stranger now living in her house. Zeke immediately senses that she doesn't like David and Anna admits the real problem is that she doesn't need a walking reminder of her dead brother around every day. By the time she returns home, however, Spencer is already beginning to warm up to him. Anna finds David helping Luke with his homework and immediately storms off when Spencer asks her to be more sociable. Left alone, Spencer opens up about his own problems. He recently lost a promotion to a younger employee who had far less experience but happened to have a college degree. And with Laura already worried about their finances, the rejection has hit him hard. When he asks what David plans to do next, David says he intends to head to Florida and look for construction work. Surprisingly, Spencer tells him there's no rush and invites him to stay a little longer. He offers to grab them a few more beers before bed, but once again, something about the offer makes David visibly tense. Over the following days, David begins picking Luke up from school and finally puts an end to his bullying problem, earning the boys complete admiration. Laura also decides David should get out of the house and forces Anna to take him along to a Halloween party. While getting ready, Anna heads toward the bathroom, believing Luke is inside and tells him to hurry up. Instead, the door opens to reveal a shirtless Arnold Schwarzenegger. Completely blindsided by David's muscular physique, Anna turns bright red and suddenly struggles to form a sentence. On the way to the party, Anna explains that it's being hosted by her friend Kristen and casually mentions that she's still dating Zeke. David is surprised because her parents apparently believe they broke up, so Anna makes him promise not to say anything. Kristen greets them at the door and immediately takes an interest in David. When she mentions that Zeke needs help carrying the kegs, David volunteers and walks into the party moments later, carrying two effortlessly enough to grab everyone's attention. Zeke's friend Craig offers him a cigar, which David handles like nothing before passing it to Anna. She then hands it to Zeke, but he's got no aura. While Anna disappears with her boyfriend, Kristen gets cornered by her hot-headed ex, who refuses to accept that she doesn't want to talk to him. When he shoves David aside and tries dragging Kristen away, David instantly slams him into a picture frame and ends the confrontation before it can even begin. Kristen is understandably captivated, and the two eventually spend the night together. But David has another reason for being at this party. Afterward, he quietly approaches Craig and asks whether he knows anyone who sells firearms. Craig wants to know why, but David casually explains that old soldiers simply have a thing for guns. Not long after, David catches Anna arguing with Zeke. Fed up, she decides to leave early, and David volunteers to drive her home. During the ride, Anna vents about how little ambition Zeke has. She's working hard and saving money for college, while he seems perfectly happy drifting through life without even holding down a job. David tells her that if he'd had someone like her waiting at home, he probably never would have joined the army in the first place. The compliment catches Anna completely off guard, and when a song David likes comes over the radio, she offers to make him a custom mix CD with it included. By the time they reach the house, neither seems particularly eager to end the conversation, but David remains a gentleman and eventually heads into his room. But while everyone in the Peterson family is slowly beginning to trust David, Anna is about to discover the first clue that their mysterious houseguest may be far more dangerous than anyone realizes. Later that night, Anna keeps her promise and starts putting together the mix CD, carefully choosing songs while David sits alone in Caleb's room with that same blank, unsettling stare. By the following morning, her curiosity turns into real suspicion when she accidentally overhears him on the phone asking about a procedure that would make him impossible to recognize. His voice is cold and urgent as he explains that he has gone off the grid because people are actively searching for him. Anna hides before he can spot her and calls the military to verify his story. She gives them the name David Collins and the unit he claimed to serve in, expecting a simple confirmation, but the attendant discovers that his records are classified and quietly contacts KPG, a private military contractor. Their response is immediate: tell her David Collins is dead. That single phone call triggers panic elsewhere. During a board meeting, Major Richard Carver is informed that David Collins has resurfaced and appears to be staying with the Peterson family. Carver instantly understands the danger. If David's existence becomes public, both he and the men involved will be used as sacrificial lambs, so he begins mobilizing a team to contain the situation. David, meanwhile, meets Craig and another gun dealer to buy firearms. Once they see he has enough cash, the two happily start showing off everything they brought, convinced they have an easy customer. David calmly inspects the weapons, announces that he'll take the entire collection, and lets Craig celebrate for about 2 seconds before casually warning him that he's going to kill him.
Hey, what the fuck, David?
Let me see. One fucking second.
Wait! No, 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 no! Oh.
David then loads up every gun and grenade they brought and disappears without leaving a trace. Anna soon receives another call from the military and rushes downstairs to tell her mother what she learned. But Spencer arrives first with shocking news of his own. His boss, Alan, and Alan's girlfriend have apparently died after overdosing on prescription medication in what authorities believe was a joint self-deletion, though the bruises found on the woman make the whole thing feel suspicious. As tragic as it is, Alan's death leaves Spencer next in line for regional manager, along with the major salary increase he desperately needed. David walks in moments later and apologizes for interrupting, but Spencer is already in such a good mood that he brushes it aside and invites him to have some green tea. David excuses himself to put away his bags, and almost immediately, Anna gets another call. This time, it's Zeke, telling her that Craig has been murdered. Before he can explain much more, a cop gets his attention, and he abruptly ends the call. Shaken, Anna heads to the diner and finds Kristen equally disturbed by Craig's death. While the two try to make sense of who would want him dead, David is back at the Peterson house carving pumpkins with Luke. When the kitchen knife proves too dull, he casually pulls out a razor-sharp Swiss Army sausage and slices through the pumpkin with ease, leaving Luke fascinated that he carries something like that everywhere. At the diner, Anna finally tells Kristen what the military said. According to the army base, David Collins died alongside 19 other soldiers in a military hospital after oxygen tanks caused a fire. Kristen immediately suggests checking his ID or credit card, but Anna realizes she has never once seen David use a wallet. He always pays in cash. That leaves his burner phone as the best lead. Back home, David gives Luke another lesson about standing up for himself, telling him never to let anyone bully him again.
Those kids at school, they were bigger than you.
Yeah.
And bring a knife to school. They take it off you and beat you up. You go around their houses at night and burn them down with their families inside. What's the worst they can do?
Yeah, okay.
David even suggests carrying a knife for protection and hands Luke the Swiss Army knife as a gift. Anna arrives shortly after and pretends everything is normal, waiting until David and Luke are distracted before slipping his phone into her pocket. She sneaks upstairs, photographs the call log, and is nearly exposed when the phone suddenly starts ringing. Panicking, she throws it back onto David's bed and races into her own room just before he realizes anything is missing. David steps into the hallway moments later with a troubled expression. Hearing the faint ringtone, he follows it back to his room and immediately senses that something is wrong. Still unconvinced, he pauses outside Anna's bedroom and listens, but the loud music inside masks everything. Anna stands frozen behind the door until he finally walks away. She barely gets a chance to relax before her own phone starts ringing. Zeke is calling from police custody. The cops found the gun used to kill Craig inside his van after receiving an anonymous tip. Zeke insists he didn't do it, but admits they also found other incriminating material, meaning he may be stuck there for a while. Anna walks downstairs devastated and tells the family that Craig was shot and Zeke has been arrested for the murder. Laura sympathizes, but Spencer immediately assumes Zeke brought this on himself. Anna finally admits that she and Zeke are still together despite her parents ordering her to end the relationship. Spencer explodes, calling him a junkie who started dating his daughter when she was 17, and his reaction pushes Anna to reveal the bigger problem she has been hiding. She tells them she called the army base, and according to their records, David Collins is dead. David visibly tenses, but recovers quickly. He explains that he served in special forces when he was injured, so the military is clearly using a cover story to protect classified information. He admits he has no ID or driver's license, but shows them his dog tags and offers to retrieve his documents if they still doubt him. Spencer immediately apologizes and tells him not to bother. He even orders Anna to apologize too, but she refuses and storms upstairs. David keeps the innocent act going, telling Spencer and Laura that he should have mentioned the Special Forces assignment earlier, but he was never really allowed to discuss it. Once Anna is alone in her room studying the numbers from his call log, David quietly knocks and enters. He apologizes for everything happening with Craig and Zeke and says he understands that she doesn't need him around, while her life is already this stressful. He reminds her that he promised Caleb he would do anything possible to help the family, and says it pains him that he hasn't been able to help more, so he'll move out within a few days. His words are polite, but the message underneath them is unmistakable. "Stop digging." Anna holds his stare and eventually agrees. As David turns to leave, he notices the mix CD she made for him. He asks whether it's finished, and when she says yes, his warm smile instantly returns. He tells her he can't wait to listen to it, thanks her, and walks away while Major Carver prepares a special team to move in the moment he lands. Anna refuses to drop the investigation. While driving Luke home, she reveals that she paid someone to trace the numbers from David's phone and found a connection to Peter Boddington, a former plastic surgeon who lost his license 2 years earlier and now performs illegal procedures. She plans to take everything to the police, especially because Zeke is being accused of killing Craig. Luke asks whether she really believes David murdered Craig and the other man, and Anna confirms that she does. Luke promises to see what he can find. At school the next day, he pulls out his laptop and starts researching Peter Boddington until Ian walks over, calls him the F word, and mocks him about getting a sex change. This time, Luke doesn't take it. He punches Ian, gets thrown into a table, then grabs a yardstick and breaks it during the fight. Laura and David are called to the school shortly afterward. David asks Luke exactly what happened, and when Luke explains what Ian called him, David practically lights up before volunteering to join Laura in the principal's office. The principal initially says Luke may have to be expelled, but David immediately takes control of the conversation. He asks what Ian called him, and when the principal tries dodging the question, David labels it a hate crime and threatens to sue both the school and the board.
I didn't even know he was gay.
The principal quickly reduces the punishment to suspension, but David still isn't satisfied. He gets up and urges Laura to leave, forcing the principal to compromise again and settle on 1 month of after-school detention with the prom planning committee. David accepts, but makes it clear he doesn't want to hear about Luke being harassed again. Outside, David tells Luke about the month of detention. Luke can hardly believe he got off that easily and asks to speak with him alone. After everything David has done for him, Luke has come to trust him completely. So he finally reveals that Anna has been investigating his identity and believes he may have killed Craig. Even worse, she plans to go to the police in hopes that proving David's involvement will clear Zeke. Surprisingly, David only smiles when Luke tells him Anna suspects he killed Craig. He asks whether Luke believes it too, but Luke admits he doesn't really care. In fact, he goes even further and reveals everything Anna uncovered, including the connection to the plastic surgeon. When David asks why he would possibly need one, Luke guesses that he wants to change his face so nobody can recognize him. He has already looked up David Collins himself and doesn't believe that's his real identity, but as far as Luke is concerned, David clearly has his reasons for wanting to disappear. Luke even asks whether David was responsible for his father's boss dying. That finally makes David tense, but Luke immediately assures him he won't tell anyone. When David asks why, Luke gives the simplest answer possible.
Because we're friends, right?
That finally brings David's smile back. He only has one more question. Did Anna tell anyone else? Luke admits she probably told Kristen. Not long afterward, David helps Laura with the laundry, while she thanks him for everything he has done for their family. She admits she doesn't know what she would have done without him, and David warmly tells her it's no problem before heading off to grab the rest of the clothes. Laura watches him leave with a smile, completely unaware that Major Carver and a tactical team are arriving outside. Carver approaches her and asks where Anna is. Laura explains that her daughter is working at the diner and nervously asks whether she has done something wrong. Carver tells her that Anna contacted Fort Kenilworth asking about a man named David Collins, then produces a photograph and asks whether Laura recognizes him. She hesitantly points toward the house and says David is inside. At that exact moment, David appears carrying a bowl of laundry. The second he spots the tactical team, the friendly house guest disappears. He drops what he's carrying, grabs his gun, and immediately trades fire with the soldiers. David picks them off one by one before retreating into his room, where he realizes he has taken a bullet through the leg. Laura panics and races toward the house despite the soldiers yelling for her to stay back. Carver takes position while another man tries entering, only for David to gun him down and trigger another barrage of fire. Two soldiers climb through the window, unaware David is hiding beneath the bed. He shoots one from underneath, slides out, eliminates the second, and grabs the bag containing all the weapons he stole earlier. Spotting Carver and a sniper covering his window, David crawls out of the room and makes his way toward the kitchen. Laura finds him there and desperately demands to know who these men are and why they're trying to kill him. David finally admits that he hasn't been completely honest with her and says there isn't enough time to explain everything. He insists that he genuinely wanted to help the family, but too many complications got in the way. When he reaches for a knife, Laura becomes even more frightened and asks whether he ever actually knew Caleb. David tells her that part was true. He and Caleb really did serve in the same military unit, and because of that, Caleb would understand what David now has to do. Realizing the danger she's in in, Laura calls out for Carver, but David immediately stabs her, cutting off her screams and quietly apologizes. Outside, Carver orders the remaining sniper to give him 15 seconds of cover while he moves in, but David is already escaping. He bursts from the garage in a Bugatti, takes out the final sniper, and shoots out Carver's tires before speeding away. Carver fires after him, but David is already gone, forcing him to grab the Range Rover and continue the chase. David's car begins coughing along the road, and moments later, he crashes directly into Spencer's official vehicle. Spencer is left with strawberry juice smeared across his face as David steps out with a gun. Knowing Spencer is another witness who could expose him, David apologizes for what he's about to do and takes the shot. Carver reaches the wreck moments later on panini wheels and realizes David is still moving. With no usable vehicle left, he stops a civilian and takes their car before racing toward the diner. He reaches Anna first, introduces himself as Major Carver from the military police, and tells her she needs to come with him immediately. When he explains that David isn't who he claims to be, Anna doesn't need convincing. Kristen asks whether everything is okay, and Anna promises to call her later, unaware that she has just seen her friend for the last time. Only minutes after they leave, David arrives looking for Anna. Kristen claims she doesn't know where she went, and David asks whether Anna might have gone to pick up Luke. Before Kristen can answer, he tells her not to bother. He then shoots her dead, then detonates grenades that reduce the diner to rubble. As Carver drives Anna away, he receives an urgent call and explains that local police are overwhelmed, meaning they have to retrieve Luke themselves from the rec center. Anna is already demanding answers, so Carver finally reveals what David really is. He was part of a top-secret military program designed to create the perfect soldier through advanced behavioral conditioning. The experiment worked far too well. David eventually killed several people, escaped, and burned the bodies to confuse anyone searching for him. By the time Carver's people understood what had happened, David had vanished completely. Anna is horrified that they would perform an experiment like this on someone, but Carver insists David had been an ideal soldier when the project began. Anna immediately tries calling Luke, but he can't answer because he's still trapped in after-school detention. She leaves him a voice message begging him to call her as soon as he hears it. Police cars race past in the opposite direction, and when Anna asks what's happening, Carver admits that someone blew up the diner shortly after they left. That immediately makes Anna realize Carver still hasn't said anything about her parents. Carver finally tells her the truth. Laura and Spencer are both dead, and David killed them before anyone could stop him. He explains that David's neurological conditioning changed his brain so completely that eliminating anyone who threatens his identity has become almost instinctive. Even if some part of him wants to stop, his programming keeps pushing him to remove every loose end. By the time they reach the school, Anna is so devastated that Carver has to pull her back into the moment and remind her that Luke is still inside. They enter the rec center, which is already decorated for Halloween, turning the dark building into a maze of creepy displays. Carver nearly fires at a noise before teacher Mr. Lyles calls out and demands to know who is there. Carver identifies himself as military police and asks where Luke is being held for detention. Mr. Lyles points them in the right direction, and Anna finally reaches her brother. She hugs Luke while Carver tells them they need to leave immediately. Then the lights shut off. Somewhere inside the building, David removes the prom playlist and replaces it with the mix CD Anna made for him. Her music begins playing through the dark rec center as Carver asks whether anyone else should be inside. Mr. Lyles insists they're alone and explains where the lighting controls are located, prompting Carver to move toward the booth. Mr. Lyles leads the way through the darkness, but David attacks him from the shadows. Carver orders Anna to run in the opposite direction and moves toward the disturbance, only for David to slash him with a box cutter as well. Luke is completely confused, insisting that David would never hurt them, but Anna begs him to trust her and pulls him away. Once they reach a safer spot, Anna tells Luke to hide. Luke still believes David is probably only after Carver and suggests she should simply talk to him, but Anna's face hardens. David murdered their parents. The truth destroys whatever loyalty Luke still had left. Anna tells him to stay hidden while she draws David away, promising that she'll come back for him. Meanwhile, David's friendly mask is finally gone. He stalks through the darkened school searching for Luke, still calling out in the same calm, reassuring voice and pretending everything is fine. But Luke now knows exactly what David is capable of and remains perfectly silent. David is seconds from discovering him when a crash somewhere else pulls his attention away. Following the trail of blood left from Carver's earlier struggle, he eventually comes face to face with Anna. Burning with rage over her parents' deaths, she raises Carver's gun and fires. The bullet slams into David and sends him crashing to the floor. Anna lowers the weapon, believing it's finally over, but David suddenly drives a knife into her leg. She tries firing again. The spark catches the Halloween decorations instead, and flames begin spreading through the rec center. David ignores the fire completely. He grabs Anna by the throat and starts strangling her as the building burns around them. Her strength begins fading until Luke suddenly charges from hiding and drives the very knife David once gave him straight into his body. David then releases Anna and collapses, badly wounded. Yet when he looks at Luke, there's no anger in his face. He quietly tells the boy that he made the right choice and that he completely understands why he did it. David even gives him one final thumbs up before collapsing to the floor, seemingly dead at last. After everything is over, Anna and Luke sit together inside an ambulance, trying to process the fact that their entire family has been destroyed. But as emergency crews move around the burning school, Anna notices a limping firefighter walking away from the scene. She catches a glimpse of his eyes. David somehow survived.